So I don't know. I think I was always attracted to multiple people. If I go back into my teenage years, I still remember that I was attracted to multiple men at the same time. But obviously, I didn't know what it was then. It felt like um, this is stupid. You don't talk about these things to your friends because they just like one person at a time.
Welcome back to Open Late Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Spandiari. And this week I have with me an incredible guest who reached out to me actually with the desire to be on the show and share her story. I had posted, as I normally do, Q&As and things of that nature. And I had a listener write in and say, I'm solo poly and I'm sort of navigating this on my own. And it would be great if you could have a guest on that could speak to that experience. And so I posted and I said, anybody out there want to talk about this with me? And the incredible Meghana Raveendra reached out, she DM'd me, and now here we are for round two because we spoke about a month ago or a couple weeks ago while I was in Asia, and now we're back at it. So welcome to the show, Meghna.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for having me on your podcast.
I'm excited for the listeners to get to know you. We had a great conversation, so I got to know a little bit about you and your story, and we have a lot of similarities, which is cool. And you are in this big life transition, as I remember, which I think is amazing because I'm right there too, just shifting career and shifting the way I look at the world and my life and my relationships. So yeah, we had a great talk, and no one got to hear it. So here we are.
Yeah.
So I want to dive right in.
Yeah.
I would love for you to
Yeah.
sort of share the dawn of opening up to non monogamy as a married Indian woman. Like, how did that even spark for you?
So, so I don't know. I think I was always attracted to multiple people. Like I, if I go back into my teenage years, I still remember that I was attracted to multiple men at the same time. But obviously, I didn't know what it was then. It felt like um, this is stupid, and you don't talk about these things to your friends because they just like one person at a time. And how do you even open up about these things with other people? So I remember this now when I go back, but I didn't know about this then. And when I was married, I was attracted to other people, and I would tell my ex-husband about it, that I am getting attracted to other people, and that's the extent of conversation that we would have. And we would like just keep that away and not talk about it beyond that. So I think it was 2018, like when we were having a conversation last time, and I shared that 2018 I had quite a serious miscarriage, which forced me to look at what was not okay, or what was missing. There was some missing link in my life. There was something that I was not able to figure out. I was feeling anxious. I was not feeling happy about a lot of things.
So, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
So, first of all, thank you for sharing, so vulnerably about this experience. I think it's something as women we could talk about more, and it would really
Hmm.
support the
Yeah.
collective, as people who, can get pregnant. So I find it so interesting that you said when you had that, you looked at your life to see what essentially was out of alignment. Have you always
Mm.
looked at things that way? Or was this one of the first times where you were like, oh, something must not be right with how I'm living, and that's why this happened?
Um, I think I've always looked at it that way. When I feel something's not okay, I sort of jump into the solution mode to figure things out, and that's how I've always been. Uh, I
Mm.
like to I like to spend time to understand how do I fix this, what do I do about this. This is not sitting well with me, and that was the time when I felt that, okay, now that I know that something's not okay, I can't just leave it like that. Like, I need to
Mm,
deep dive.
okay. Yeah. Not a lot of people think that way or operate that way. So I think it's really unique, and very growth minded and like a
Yeah,
responsible way to live life. So I appreciate that you sharing that. Okay,
thank you.
so
Yeah.
then where do you go from there? What had to shift?
So, yeah, so then I shared it with my ex-husband then, and I wanted to meet someone I was attracted to, and he was okay to the extent of me meeting that person, but not going beyond that or not doing anything about it. And that made me very uncomfortable. I felt that, okay, if I am attracted to someone, I should be able to do something about it. Like, I want to do something about it. Uh, and just feeling the feeling of being restricted or not allowed to do something that you really wish for or that you really want was extremely claustrophobic. Like, it was like someone putting you in a box and closing it up and saying that, oh, you can't do this anymore,
Yeah, yeah.
or you can't get out of this box.
Mm,
So that was the point when I felt that, okay, this is something that I strongly feel about, and I need to explore this and understand if this is who I am.
okay. And then did you at that point ask your husband, for that dynamic, or was he just not open to it? And is that the point when you separated?
Yeah, so he was definitely not open to it, and we couldn't have a detailed conversation about it. But after that, I did go to Kerala. It's in the southern part of India, where I studied social leadership, and I
Mm,
think that was the space where I knew that this is who I am, and I had the space to myself. I was living on my own. I was doing things on my own. I was meeting up people. I was finding new connections. So that's where I knew that, okay, I'm attracted to a lot of people, and I don't feel guilty about it. Like, I don't feel bad about it. Um, my love for my ex-husband doesn't go down because of this attraction. So I felt very comfortable in that space. And that's when I opened up more to him that, this is not a phase. It's not like, I'm tired of being in a marriage, and, it's gotten boring, and now I want some excitement, and I want to, like, uh, have more sex. That's not the kind of phase I am in. I truly
mm-hmm.
feel that I am someone who can have multiple relationships. And that's where we realize that, okay, this is an incompatibility and it doesn't work for
Mm.
us.
So if he were
Yeah.
open to it, you would be, it's not like you wanted out of that marriage. You were very happy in that container with him, just not the fact that you couldn't be open to other people.
That's what I thought then. But the discussion
Mm.
on non monogamy led to a lot of other aspects and discussing about a lot more things, uh, understanding how we are individually. And there were a lot of things that were incompatible, right from how do we want to raise children, how do we see education, how do we see our own lives, how do we want to live our own lives.
Mm.
So non monogamy was just a spark. It sort of spilled into a lot of different aspects of our life that we hadn't spoken about till then. Like, we had not touched them. We were just living our lives. We didn't have the time to discuss about these things. Like, I was working, he was working. Whatever time we had, we would, like, have fun, go out, meet friends, and that's what our life was.
So there weren't all these conversations that were expansive and talking about, really deep things that can shift your entire relationship. Hmm. Okay, so this was in 2018.
No, this was 2020. This was actually when COVID hit, and it
Okay,
forced us to
2020.
sit together and talk about it.
And so, how has it been for you navigating, as a solo woman? Now this marriage has
Yeah.
ended and you are exploring, different types of non monogamy. polyamory, if you
Mm,
will. What have your experiences been like?
my experiences have been wonderful, honestly. I've not come across bad or negative experiences as such. Um, I think it's also because when we started having the discussion in 2020, I read up a lot and I spoke to a lot of people during that time, during the COVID time. I connected with people on dating apps who were thinking on similar lines. And what sparked my interest in understanding what solo polyamory was, Instagram Live that was done by one of my ex partners. And I was like, oh, he's talking about the same things that I believe in. How is that possible? Like, how can someone say the same words that you think in your head? That's where
Mm,
I thought that okay, there is a word for this. There's something called solo polyamory, uh, and I relate to it quite deeply. And that's where the journey
yeah.
began.
Okay. Where did you find him online and then he became a
Yes.
partner, or he was a partner of yours and then he did this IG
No, no,
live?
he was doing an IG live. Someone sent me the link. He was doing an IG live on vasectomy and solo polyamory. And having an Indian man talk about something like this is like unheard of. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. You live in Mumbai,
I
right?
live in Pune, which is close to
Or
Mumbai.
Delhi? You live in Delhi.
No, Pune.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? Okay. And so I imagine, I've never been to India, but like you're saying, hearing a man talk about these
Yeah.
topics was just, you know, off the wall. Um, so are you finding people exploring this also, or is it extremely fringe?
Mhm.
Are there, as you said, there were people talking about it on dating apps. So are you able to find people and meet people and find community, or is it like really challenging to find people that are into the same things that you are?
Um, it is quite challenging to find people who are especially solo polyamorous because I think in India, a lot of people don't understand. First of all, they don't understand what non-monogamy is. Like, what is ethical non-monogamy? Uh, Non-monogamy is looked at in a very promiscuous way, or someone just sleeping around and not telling people. That's how it's looked at. It's still a very new thing uh, for people here. Uh, and then going to polyamory and explaining what is many loves and many relationships, and everyone knows about it, there is consent involved, there is informed consent involved, is quite a stretch for people to understand. So it's definitely not easy to meet people, but yeah, once I explain to them what I'm really looking for, I've seen that some people are open to it. Like they're like, okay, let's meet up and see where this goes, or let's talk about it and understand more about it. So that helps, and that's been helpful for me to connect to people and find people. Also, I don't like to be very rigid about who I'm connecting to. I feel once you connect, let's see where it goes, like we will figure out something, we will
Mm,
figure out how the connect is, and I just leave it at that and let it flow on its own.
yeah. So you're open to connecting with people who are monogamous, but that once they meet you, hear about this and are interested. Okay, cool. Yeah, I really like that. I appreciate it. And I like how you worded it as not being rigid. I find personally, and maybe it's because I have the ability to, because there's so many more people who are
Hmm.
non-monogamous, and I live in Los Angeles, but I rarely will date someone who's
Okay.
monogamous. And I'll actually rarely meet or, try to have a connection with anyone who is not practiced in polyamory, because baby monogamers, or non-monogamers as we'll call them, people that are just starting to dip their toes into this, don't have all the experience and a lot of times the awarenesses that I've built up over the last 10 years. So you're helping me really appreciate that and realize that it's kind of a luxury, right, that I have in this aspect, and I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah, I had a similar thought, if I can say that, like if I can share uh, on what you shared. Like I was in a similar space 2 years ago where I connected with someone who was monogamous, and I realized that okay, I can't do this because it comes with so much of conditioning and so much of baggage that someone's not ready or willing to unravel at that point. And for me, it was too much. I was like, I
Yeah.
can't do this work for you. You need to do this work yourself. Uh, but later, when yeah,
Yeah, it's like I don't want to teach you
yeah,
and help you do
yeah, I don't want to
everything.
mentor you. Like, I would like to be connected.
Yeah.
So, but later on, I realized that what is it that am I really looking for when I'm connecting with someone? And I try to zero down on that. Like, I like people who are passionate. uh, I like people who have other responsibilities in life, or they have other things that they love to do. So relationship is not the only thing in their lives. And if that's the thing, then
Right.
a monogamous person is okay too, because he will have other things to do. He will have other responsibilities. Um he will be doing multiple things apart from this relationship. and and that's great. I mean, I'm not the only person
Right.
in his life. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you are thinking about it in the ways of like, okay, these are the criteria. Doesn't really matter how someone identifies. Obviously, it's maybe an advantage if they are already practiced in
Mhm.
non-monogamy or polyamory, but just being open to different kinds of people, I think is really incredible. Especially since this is, the beginning of your journey. And it seems like you're very comfortable and I don't want to assume, but it sounds like you're never going back to monogamy. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know either, honestly. So I think like,
I'm realizing that we did talk
yes,
about this
we
before. Yeah.
did.
And I was like asking the same question.
Yeah, I just went back to our older conversation that I honestly I don't know, because I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. I know that today this is what it is. Uh, Tomorrow there could be different reasons why I may choose monogamy, but that would be a choice. I It wouldn't be growing up thinking that that's the only option I have in my life. It would be a very conscious choice
Hmm.
to get into monogamy. So yeah, it may happen, may not happen, but today I'm very happy not being monogamous for sure.
What about marriage?
Um,
Could you see yourself getting married
I
again?
don't think so. I don't think I see myself getting married. Um, in the Indian culture and context, I feel marriage comes with a lot of obligations and challenges that force you to see things or be in a certain way, and that's not something that I relate to, or that's a space that I don't connect to anymore. So if I want to live with someone
Hmm.
and be with someone, I would be with them without being married, and that's okay too.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? When you say different things that come with being married and responsibilities, like what can you paint a picture for us?
Oh wow. Okay. This could be like this could be a very big and a detailed picture, but I'm going to try and keep it not too deep. Uh, so yeah, culturally, India.
Go deep. It's okay.
All right. Culturally, India is a very community based country, right? Like when you get married, it's said here that you don't get married to a person, you get married to an entire family. So it's a confluence of families, and
Mm.
that comes with its own set of expectations of how a woman or a daughter in law is supposed to be, or what are the things you're supposed to do as a daughter in law that you cannot do when you were single anymore. Like, like things like being responsible for the home, taking care of the house, whether you're working or not, it doesn't matter. Like the woman, the gender, it's a very gendered space, that there are clear demarcations for a woman
Hmm.
and a clear demarcation for a man. The man is the provider and the woman is the caring, taking care of the house. So these are very distinctively what do you say, structured roles, and it is, there are people breaking that, but it is very hard to do that unless and until you have a supportive atmosphere, or people around you who are going to be there and cheer you and say that, okay, you go do this, you go break this, and we're there for you. So it's very hard to
Yeah.
find that. And I realize I would rather have my struggles with non-monogamy and figure myself out here than have those struggles and try to tell people that I don't fit into this space. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I think not everybody understands or it really thinks into the cultural differences, across this globe and um, learning how different it is for a woman or, anybody who is identifying as feminine in culture across the world can be so restrictive or some people might find that empowering and really enjoy it, but clearly you're not one of them. Neither would I be. Hearing that, I'm just like, oh my god, that is a ton of responsibility. And yeah, like you said, it's there's going to be challenges along the way in non-monogamy, and those are the ones that you're up for. So I'm curious actually, because you said you haven't had a lot of negative experiences, you've had a lot of like positives, but have there been challenges so far, and what challenges do you foresee as you continue this journey?
um okay, there have been certain challenges in terms of, let's say, investing energy and time, because I'm someone who likes to connect organically. I also need to be mindful of how much energy and time I'm spending with so many people. So as a solo person, that's a little challenging, because people assume that I am on my own, like I'm alone and I'm living alone, and so there's she doesn't have a problem in spending time with us. And that's a little difficult to navigate, because yes, I do that, but I need time for myself as well. I do need to prioritize myself.
Mhm.
I love traveling, I love doing a lot of things. So there are times when I'm unavailable through the year. So that's a bit of a balance that I'm still trying to figure out, that how do I still be solo and have multiple relationships, be committed in them, at the same time make sure that I'm taking care of myself and doing the things that I love to do. So that's a slightly hard balance to maintain.
Yeah. Yeah, your relationship with you is also an important relationship, probably the most to you. So I love that. Any other big challenges besides time and energy?
Yeah, another challenge is trying to navigate the sexual space. When I meet a lot of people, it's kind of assumed that I'm open to sexual experiences, or I'm open to figuring out my sexuality, and I have to be very specific about. I mean, that's not a space I am in right now. Like, yes, sex is a part of it. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, I'm okay with it. I'm not very fixated on that. I have to have a sexual experience with you. So putting that across also is sort of a challenge, because everyone that I meet feels that, okay, you're non-monogamous, so you're open to sex, and sometimes that gets a little hard to navigate.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's a big issue, I think, across cultures that when people hear that you're polyamorous, they're like, oh, great. They just want to hook up. And it's like, no. Actually, in some ways, I find it makes us a lot more selective with who we do want to sleep
Yes.
with because
Oh
we
yes.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I love how you
you,
said,
we,
oh,
we
yeah.
just can't without a connection. It's very difficult to do it without a connection, right? Like, uh, you can't just hook up. Like, at least I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I go through phases. I go in like little spurts.
Mm,
Generally, I need connection. But there has been
mm.
this like recent past year actually where I was in like a little bit of a hookup phase for the first time, maybe in my life, actually. Because generally, I
Oh,
need intimacy.
okay.
And I think as I've gotten a little bit older, I'm just like, actually, I don't have time for intimacy, but I really could use novelty. So, as long as there's a little bit of a connection, I was there for it.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I'm
yeah,
good with that. That's enough.
yeah, yeah, there was a lot of hot travel
Yeah.
stuff. So, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
So, as pun intended, as you've shared and opened up and come out to your family and friends, how has it been received?
Um, there haven't been any extreme reactions. So when I spoke to my family 3 years ago, like 2.5 years ago, uh, because this was one of the major reasons for the divorce, and it's very difficult here to just go and file for a divorce without talking to family. Like I'm very thankful
Yeah.
for my parents that they are not very interfering or they will not make decisions on my behalf. So I'm very thankful that though them being in this culture, they are not very conservative. Uh, but yeah, when I spoke to them, it was hard to just have a normal conversation because this is unheard of. So they were not in a space to support me at that time. And I get that because they still don't get what polyamory is or non monogamy is. But my mom has been very open to asking questions. Like she asked me, how is this ethical? Like you're saying that you want to be with more than one person. How is this ethical? And I was like, okay, that's a question that I can take and I can have a conversation around.
Yeah.
Because if people are open to having conversations, I'm okay with it. Like how we are having a conversation, I'm very happy to do that. But if someone's going to be rigid about it, or going to throw things at me which I don't like, I would probably just shut down. So in a way, I've been
Mm-hmm.
very thankful that my friends and my family have been very open to listen to me, like what do I have to say about this, though they don't understand or they don't agree to it completely. But I'm okay with that. So that's the space my friends and my family are in at the moment.
Wonderful. It could always be worse, right? Yeah, I think when people, you know, people will judge what they don't understand for sure. But as long as they're meeting you with grace and, curiosity, that's a great place to be, although they might never fully understand. I know that my parents kind of do. I think my mom still questions a lot. It's like, she's like, I don't, and she'll tell me, I just don't understand how it works. But she accepts it. And for me, that's like all I really need. You blog a little bit and you share about this online. Have you had any online negative feedback?
Um, Not really. I haven't had any online negative feedback as well. I mean, I have negative feedback as a woman. Oh, that's all because of the gender I'm born into.
Mm,
And I think a lot of women across the world face this, where you have a public profile and you're not a private person. People will talk things to you, or they feel that, they are entitled to the space and they're entitled to say whatever they want. So I have had that, because not because I'm non-monogamous, but more because of being an open woman. But
mm,
otherwise, I've not had negative experiences online. I'm also not very close to having a conversation. So if someone approaches saying that, hey, I would like to know about this, I will not shut that person off. I will try and engage in a conversation that I can, like, I mean, to the extent that I can, if I have the bandwidth. And I think for me that helps, because I'm open to talking about it and, telling the person that, okay, this is not what I want, or, you're entering a territory which is not okay. And I try to say it exactly the way I'm saying it right now, so that it's not it's not triggering for someone, or it's not like, you don't get into an argument or a fight.
right.
So
It's a
but that's
clear
that's the kind
boundary.
of person I am. Yeah, that's a clear
Mm,
boundary. uh, that's something that I've reached because I don't like conflicts myself. So I would prefer to, say things this way. So I've not had too much negative comments.
yeah, I agree. Sometimes, sometimes I'll go in with negative comments. I've had a lot of
Mm,
them over the years,
yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
like discerning whether somebody really is seeking to understand and you can actually educate
Yeah.
someone, or they're just
Yes.
there to sort of spew nonsense and negativity.
Absolutely.
Where do you see
Yeah.
yourself taking this? Um, I guess in the online space, as you navigate, do you think that you'll do a bit more sharing about your journey and, educating people? As we talked about, there's not a whole lot of this happening right across Indian culture, and it's still very new. And,
Yeah.
maybe it's a bit seen as like more progressive, more Western. I imagine there's
Yes.
a big space open for, people to create content or share their journey. Do you think that you could step into that role?
Yeah, I have not thought about it yet. I mean, my friends and people I'm connected to have shared this with me that I should open up and talk about it more. Uh, at the moment, I feel I'm so comfortable talking one on one, like, uh, whether it's on dates or when I meet people one on one, or whether it's you. It's very comfortable space that I can share what I feel, and you can share what you feel. So I am very open to that right now. um, Maybe in the future when I feel like if I would like to talk about it over the media, social media, and put it up publicly, I would write about it mostly. That's my space. I'm very bad at videos. I just can't I can't do videos or I can't do lives.
I think you're great. I don't know. This is going really well.
Well, that's
um,
boosts my moral up.
yeah, totally. I mean, that's all we do is we just start and we figure it out. We get better as we go along. At least
Yeah,
that's been my experience. But I could totally see it for you. That's
yeah.
why I asked. I'm like, oh, she should be like you know, the content creator for like Indian women to see themselves and identify because, for me, I didn't have there was no one talking about non-monogamy 9 years ago when
Hmm.
I first started.
Yeah.
And it's one of the big reasons I stayed closeted for so long because I didn't see anyone doing what I was doing. I felt so wrong for
Hmm.
doing it. It felt so taboo. I was
Yeah.
really ashamed, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. My listeners have heard this story. I don't have to share it again, but it wasn't until I started to see somebody who I was like, oh, she was kind of like me, and I think it was um,
Yeah.
just like Aubrey Marcus talking with his former partner, Whitney Miller. And I was like, oh, interesting. They're doing this and they're in the public,
Hmm.
eye. And she was like I don't know she was like a pageant. This is terrible, but like Miss Texas or something. I don't
Okay.
remember. And I was like, oh, interesting. And she's openly non monogamous. The first time that
Yeah.
something clicked in me. And then there was a researcher, an author here, an educator, Wednesday Martin, who wrote a book called Untrue that I read. And I was like, oh, there are more. So it took me
Yeah.
having to see these other women who I saw myself in to be like, oh, I should open up and talk about this a little bit. And so that's always the reason when I have people on the show and I'm like, do you think you want
Yes.
to be, an educator? Because we need to see people like
Yeah.
us and more women
Yes.
who are sharing it to give other women
Yeah.
permission to come out of the closet. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think
yeah.
when I started out as well, I saw so many men talking about it, or I read up a lot of information that was written by men. Uh, Hardly Indian men as well. I mean, I didn't see many Indian men talking about it either. And women was like very far fetched, like an Indian woman talking about polyamory very openly. Though we do have therapists now also who talk about polyamory openly, which is great. Uh, but I'm yet to
Mm.
come across a solo poly woman talking about her journey and how it has been for her. So it's been a space where I've figured a lot of things out on my own, and I have met some wonderful metamors. I mean, like, they have been great and they've been really supportive. So that's the only woman tribe I have who understand what I go through when it comes to polyamory. But otherwise, I there are not many women I connect to, and I feel sad at times that, oh, okay, I would love to have a tribe of women around me who just get what I feel, like, just know that yes, we get you and we're there for you, and just fall back and we're there to hold you. So yeah, I know what
Mm.
you mean.
Yeah, well, I love that you're calling it out and like naming it in this space because I believe so much in the power of intention and prayer and like just what we
Mm,
say when we speak, we cast spells. So I love that you put it on the podcast because if there's anyone listening, in your community or anywhere
yes.
really, because we can have these online communities, uh, we're going to share how, if you're open to it, people can connect with you and you can create that. I love that that's what you want. It's so important to
Mm,
have sisterhood and
mm,
to just have that community that you can lean on to go through life with and share the wins and the challenges and all of
yeah.
it. Um, yeah. So what's the dream ideally for you? Where do you see yourself in, 5 years, 10 years? Down the line of this journey, what does your ideal life and relationships look like?
I don't know about 5 years or 10 years, but and I don't even know if this dream is going to be fulfilled. So I have this dream. Like till now, I had a dream to adopt. That's why I have a tattoo as well. Like there's a sign of adoption here.
Mm,
And
yeah.
that was my dream. Someday I would like to adopt and have children in my life. But now I have a new dream, and that's about how can I build a community? Like, will there ever be a time when I have my partner's lovers connections, their partner's lovers connections, and theirs, like all of them coming together in one space? People can live if they want to, they can come for a day if they want to, they can hang out, they can chill, they can do things that they love, somewhere around in the nature. And we have lots of children just walking around and running and playing, and all of us are sort of co-parenting all of these children. Like there are no two parents, there are just many of us, and a child can run to anyone they wish to, like, oh, I love dancing, I'm going to run to this person. Oh, I love adventure, I'm going to run to someone else. So
Yes.
just having many people around, like a community, and just living like that, yeah.
That is the dream. That's my dream too. That is like exactly what I want to create that village or that, compound. We call it
Yeah.
all the time. I was actually just at a retreat center in Thailand on Kopangan, which is like a little
Yeah.
island. Like you have to take a boat to get there. There's no airport on the island. And um, the retreat center is called Wonderland. And it's not like a polyamorous community or anything, or at least, I don't know,
Mm.
actually. Who knows? That I think it was just a group of friends from Israel that moved there. And about 6 years
Okay.
ago, they bought this property and they built a retreat center. So people can come and retreat for however long they want. It sort of operates that way. And they have all these offerings, like beautiful offerings all day long: yoga, meditation, classes, workshops just on
Mm.
improving your life and your connection to spirit and your, you know,
Mm.
quality of life and
Oh
your
wow, okay.
relationships. It was such a beautiful week. I was there by myself and I loved every minute of it. And I was like, this is exactly what I want to create, for my community, for my friends right now who are all starting to have kids, and for us, and to have that.
Mm.
So it's cool that you have like a very
Yeah.
similar dream. Hmm. I think
Yeah, I'm
children can
thinking how do we
benefit.
connect LA and India?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we could just have it somewhere in the middle where I want to go. I'm going to
Right.
Europe in the spring, and I'm gonna, I think, look at some land maybe in like Italy. It's kind of like
Amazing.
halfway for both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's totally possible. And you just like
Amazing.
keep talking about it with the people that you meet and the
Yeah.
people who feel aligned
Yeah.
in your vision, because that's what I started
Yeah.
doing 4 or 5 years ago. And now, like, my whole friend group seems to want the same things. And the people who want that are finding me and, us. And we're sort of
Yeah.
like building the dream. Yeah. So cool. I want to
Yeah.
adopt as well. I think everyone
Yes.
listening knows that we're about to have some
Yes.
some biological babies via surrogacy, but after that I want to
Hmm.
adopt. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. Like, You had put up a story about that, I guess, a couple of months ago, right?
Yeah, yeah, I did. And I'm getting ready to I want to share very soon some of the specifics that are happening, but well, that's for another time.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's very exciting, and I can see that excitement on your face. Like, I'm waiting to share.
Yeah, I'm like ready to I'm brimming over with yeah, it's happening. It's happening really soon. I am loving where this conversation is going. So much so that we recorded for a long time and I am going to split this episode into two. So, jump back in with us next week. Meghana and I talk about childhood development and the pros of raising your children in community in an open, loving, and polyamorous way. We talk about relationship anarchy and where she sees herself in the future. So, as always, don't forget to rate and review the podcast. You can ask questions in your reviews, and I will answer them on the show. All of our resources are linked in the show notes for you so you can access our free quiz, our free WhatsApp community, and the Open Late E Dictionary. So go get it. All right, lovers and friends, I'll see you next week.